Well, it is time for us to take a moment and discuss the president's stimulus package. I was more than just a little bit shocked, and I guess I shouldn't have been, but I had higher hopes for this president than this. I knew that this president and many of the people in his same party disagree, and I disagree on whether or not socialism will stimulate the economy, whether or not building roads and bridges and environmental projects and spending $700 or $800 billion on that would stimulate the economy. Basically another Roosevelt. If you remember the New Deal, or if you've ever read your history books, most of you don't remember the New Deal, I don't either, but your history books will tell you the New Deal that is credited with bringing us out of the Great Depression was government spending, make-work programs where the government opened up entire new segments of the economy, spent money on things like the TVA, the CCC, the CCA, those kinds of things. Many of those agencies are now defunct. The TVA is still in place. But, for instance, here in my home state of Tennessee, there are wonderful dams that keep many of us from being flooded, where all these rivers used to get out of bounds and flood us virtually every time it rained. It's all in place now because people were given jobs that didn't have jobs by the government to build things like that, funded with taxpayer dollars. And that formed the Tennessee Valley Authority, the TVA, which is still in existence. And a lot of those dams are hydroelectric dams. They create electricity, so there's a lot of good that came out of that. There's certainly lots of dispute as to whether or not that is actually what solved the Great Depression or not, but it is credited with that. And so government getting very involved in the creation of jobs, literally, not just inspiring businesses to create jobs, but literally starting a new government job as a method of stimulating the economy is, by any stretch of the imagination, a step towards and into the middle of socialism. The economist that advised FDR to create those make-work programs and create the New Deal was John Maynard Keynes. It's known as Keynesian economics, which is taught as if it were from the Bible as a matter of truth in most economics classes now. Keynesian economics, however, is John Maynard Keynes was a socialist, and it has at its core philosophy socialism. The antithesis of that, the other side of that, is the father of capitalism, known as Adam Smith, who taught a morally restrained capitalistic market is much superior to a government-induced program. Now, lots of us in this economy today have a disagreement over those kinds of things. I'm a capitalist pig and proud of it. I'm not a socialist. I do not believe in government's involvement. I'm basically a libertarian, economically speaking. I don't believe in some of the social things that some of the libertarians stand for, so I don't go over there, but economically, just keep your freaking hands off of me. Let me be free to do what I want to do. I feel the same thing about gun rights. I feel the same thing about the press. The government intervention and regulation and stimulation and manipulation of these things is not a good thing. That's my belief. I'm a freedom-loving guy. I want to say what I want to say. I want to own my guns according to the Second Amendment, and I don't want you telling me I can't, and I don't like it when you take my money away from me forcibly that I earned. And so someone like President Obama and I have an honest disagreement, an honest dispute of opinion. He believes that the way to stimulate the economy is through make-work jobs. I do not. And I respect him on that basis, and I respect him for doing what he said he was going to do, which is to pass a stimulus package that created a bunch of jobs and was government make-work. And he went right to it. He's a decision maker. He followed through on his promise and so on. But I have to tell you that you, the American people, are being lied to, because this is not just an honest disagreement about economic philosophy. Because this stimulus package is not about the things I just described. As we've dug into it, the thing that passed the House this week has very little to do with those things I just discussed. Now, that's what we were all told that he was going to do, and I would respect him for doing what he said he was going to do, even if I disagree with him. But this thing is a lie. When you set aside in this stimulus package $335 million to prevent sexually transmitted disease, when you set aside $50 million for the National Endowment for the Arts, when you set aside $70 million for a supercomputer for the Weather Service, when you set aside $75 million for a stop smoking program, what the crap does that have to do with stimulating the economy? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. So what this guy has done is, honestly, this is the biggest scam in American history. Under the guise of he's trying to fix the economy, under the guise of he's a good socialist liberal, he's also packed into here the majority of the spending. I mean, only $30 billion on roads. How do you get to $800 billion when only $30 billion are being spent on roads? A few tens of billions on some of the other things like parks and housing and water projects, but tens of billions and 30 billion still didn't add up but to 100 billion, and we're at 800, almost 900 billion dollars. You know why? Because every social agenda that the Democratic Party, the liberal side, has ever had is included in this spending bill. This is not a stimulus bill. This is a spending bill. You've been lied to. You've been lied to, America. You've been told that this bill is being passed to stimulate the economy, and the numbers say otherwise. How is a student loan program going to stimulate the economy? Maybe 30 years from now or 20 years from now when somebody graduates and actually is in the marketplace producing as a result of education. But how is that going to solve a current recession? It's not. And so the idea that this is all being passed to stimulate the economy is an absolute lie. And I'm not saying that because I disagree with Barack Obama on his methodology. I'm saying that because I'm looking at the numbers in the bill, and the money is not being spent on things to stimulate the economy. The money's being spent on his personal agenda and Nancy Pelosi's personal agenda. The package is going to cost more than the entire Iraqi war. And there's been a lot of discussion as to how much drain on the economy the Iraqi war was. But it at least stimulated the economy. Yes, we had to build Humvees and make bullets. This is unbelievable. And it's really... I thought this guy... I thought that this Congress and these guys were coming at this with an honest disagreement on socialism versus capitalism. I can accept that. They were elected. My vote didn't count this time. And so I have to accept that. I cannot accept being lied to, and I cannot accept you being lied to. This is not a stimulus bill. It's a spending bill. And there is a big difference. How the crap does a National Endowment for the Arts stimulate the economy? This is absurd. If you don't get on your congressman and stand on his neck, you have no backbone, America. This is the Dave Ramsey Show.